welcome to another episode of Dad Can We Talk? I am your host, Anthony Ray, and this is episode 130 of the podcast. If I was still keeping up with my seasons, this would be the end of season 13, if I'm not mistaken, because I used to do 10 episodes a season. If you go on like my my Spotify or the Apple Podcast, you actually can still see the seasons, I think. So I still kind of classify it on there so it can kind of keep up with it. But yeah, this would actually be the end of season 13, which is wild because when I first started, I wasn't too sure of how everything was gonna go, but hey, listen, man, I'm way at episode 130, so making progress.
Oh yeah.
So for all my supporters out there, for all my listeners, man, y'all listen. I got some cool stuff that's gonna be coming into play within the next few weeks. Hopefully, I got some things planned, so y'all stay tuned. Y'all might see a different look to the podcast. So, man, but I'm doing some work with the Gainesville Podcast Studio, and we're trying to work a few things out. So if y'all see the podcast looking a little upgraded, that's the reason why. That is the reason why. So I'm kind of excited about that, and just thinking about how much greater the podcast could be. I'm 130 episodes in, but I feel like there's so much room for improvement. I never get comfortable and feel like, I'm there. I know there's many things that I could do better. So I'm still, in the process of trying to get things to be more quality. I've done a good job on my sound. I've upgraded my mics. But next thing is I'm trying to get the visual to be top notch. So I got that in the works. So y'all stay tuned for that. I need for y'all to do one thing for me. Go to YouTube, type in Dad Can We Talk, subscribe to the podcast. It's simple. That's all I need from my listeners. I appreciate everyone that listens to the podcast, but I gotta get these subscribers up. That's like a big thing for podcasters. That's how we, make a name for ourselves. And that's how we get the algorithm to be in our favor. The more they see smoke, the more that they think there's fire in that area. So that's all I need for y'all to do. Go to YouTube, subscribe to Dad Can We Talk. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe over there. If you can, leave a review. That also helps. So, man, listen, that's all I need from my people. Another thing, two more things. Shout out to my two sponsors. I want to give a shout out to my man, Mike P, the barber at Winter Circle Barbershop. If you're in the Gainesville area, go find him. Go get a fresh cut. Y'all know me. I can't really do too much, I missed the bald over here. So, ain't too many fresh cuts for me. I just get that razor and go hit my head. But go holler at Mike P if you got some hair, you got a hairline, he'll get you fresh, and he also has some hair oil for those that has hair, and he has beard oil. Now I have used his beard oil for the little bit that I have down here. And let me tell you, man, it smells immaculate. When you put it on, you rub it on your face. I've even used the hair oil for my scalp, after I get done with my shaves, and it makes you feel good. It has some tea tree, whatever it's called, tea tree oil, some peppermint in it, and it smells good, feels good on your on the head. So y'all go and holler at my man, Mike P the Barber. Go check out his website at www.mikepthebarber.com. And the duh is a D-A and not T-H-E. MikePthebarber.com. And shout out to TriTech. TriTech offers an online course for for $800 to help you become a certified sterile processing technician. If you're looking to change your career, you're looking to do something different, make some more money, go to www.tritech.net. You paid $100 up front, and then after that, you can get on a payment plan to pay the rest of the $700. Once you finish, you will be certified for 5 years nationally and internationally to be a certified sterile processing technician. So yeah, man, y'all go check out TriTech at tritech.net. Without further ado, man, I'm here with a guy today. I met him, it was about a year and a half ago. We ran across one another on IG, and I was a guest on their podcast, Men Talk podcast, and I don't know, man. We just had a connection, man. He seemed like a really genuine guy, really cool dude. And over last summer, I went up to DC with my daughter for the safety patrol trip, and we had a chance to meet up, man. And it was what I always thought, genuine guy and really good dude, man. And we sat down, went to a restaurant, we chopped it up for a good while, and really just a real guy. People like that I appreciate. So it was only right that I had him on, could bring him on for a podcast. And man, I just want to say congratulations to my man. Y'all help me congratulate my man. He just retired from the military, man. So it's been some years for him, I'm sure. I know it feels good for him. So I just want to send a special shout out to you, man, and congratulations for everything that you've done, man, for your service and continuing to be a stand-up guy. So without further ado, man, y'all welcome to the show. And Dad, Can We Talk community, my man Wayne Smith. What's going on, bro?
Hey, good morning, man. Dude, I appreciate the intro. Glad
Yes,
to
sir.
be here.
Oh yeah, man. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get right into it. So the way I start off the show, I always started off with the same question. So we're gonna do that today. So my first question for you is, what was your relationship like with your dad?
And I tell you, I'm very fortunate because I got two men in my life that I say I can call father. Um, and I'll get into that a little bit. But my biological dad, his name is also Wayne, and he just left. He went back to Ohio. He came down for the retirement ceremony, spent a
Okay.
few days with me. I moved with my dad when I was 6 years old. And then I stayed with my dad pretty much my whole life until I was 16. So, that's very impactful as a young man growing up with, and it was pretty much just me and my dad. My family is not a nuclear family, so we spread out
Mm.
all over the place. But it was just me and him for those long 10 years, and
Wow.
a lot of memories and a lot of good memories.
Mm.
And then when I joined the military and went all these different places, he'd always check up on me. Back in the early 2000s, it was just email because there wasn't no video chat back then.
Mm.
And then when I came back to DC, I've always made sure to go up there and show my appreciation, hosting the barbecues and things like that, just because he's laid the foundation for me to be the man and have the work ethic that I have. So I'm very appreciative to my dad for all these years, even now, as a grandfather.
Mm.
He's doing exactly what grandfathers do. He's here for them, sending gifts and spoiling them as a grandfather should. Um, so yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a father in my life.
For sure, man. Yes, sir, man. Shout out to Pops for real. What's some of the greatest thing, some of the most important things that he taught you in those 10 years?
And work ethic. That's the biggest one. There was times where we were down and out financially, and he would walk to work.
Mm.
Like it was like mile and a half. He would walk there and walk back every day. Rain, sleet, snow,
Yeah.
wind, all the things they say, because we was in Columbus, Ohio. So, you really get all the four seasons there. When it snows, it snows. When it rains, it rains. So he would walk work, walk back. Um, And that's the one thing that always stuck with me is like, always take care of work. Because you got to put food on the table, got to pay the bills, even if you're not getting the type of money you want.
Mm,
That's your job, right? And so that's the biggest thing he always taught me. And then the second thing is just be a good person.
mm,
I could definitely say that any type of interaction my dad would have with people, he's always been respectful. And even when he's upset, he never likes to show it. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him. He's always a good person to people. And I try to abide by that every day.
that's real. That's some real stuff there, man. Always important, man. And that I think those are the things that we highlight. The importance of father involvement. Like I think some people underestimate the importance of fatherhood, especially in our day. A lot of women, I would say, do that. They because of their situations, and I'm always telling people, man, listen, the dad is just as important as mom. Because as young men, we need that. We need that interaction, and
Be
you know,
that role model.
we need it, man. We need that. And just to hear what you just said, like those are the type of things that I wish I had growing up, because I didn't grow up in that way with the dad. But, to be able to see that role model, like you say, the hard worker, the work ethic, those are the types of things that a young man needs to see from his dad, So, yeah, man, huge shout out to Pops, man. I love to hear stuff like that, for real. How would you say some of those lessons, some of those things that you saw your dad do, and the things that he taught you, how would you say that translated into the way that you parent your own children?
Man, I say, so I mean, definitely the second one I spoke about is being a good person.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, I try to live by that every single day. And I definitely try to instill that in my kids. I got my 6-year-old boy. Right now he's trying to find himself and learn who he is and how to interact in social and aspects. And so we always have those talks about the do's and don'ts. As a young kid, you don't really understand boundaries and things like that. And that's on me to teach those things. And so I
Mm,
really take that upon myself to instill that in my son. Because, even though he's mixed with Indian and black, people going to assume that he's black. And I want to make sure that they just don't see an angry black man or a man that can't control his emotions.
mm,
They're gonna say that's a good guy right there when he grow up, not a good black man.
yeah.
Um, and so I teach him to, and especially where I live, we live in a very diverse neighborhood, and I want him to see people as they are,
Mm,
not just like see, okay, well, these are those people and these are those people. Where do I fit in? Because really, there's not a whole lot of black people where I'm at. And so I definitely want him to set the example because, for some kids, he may be the only black person they see. And they
mm,
be like, how they see him is how they're going to judge everybody else.
mm-hmm.
And so I definitely try to put that in my kids. And my daughter, it's been easy with her. I
Yeah.
mean, I set the example for her, and I say something one time, two times, and she got it. Like I don't have to. She's stellar. And then too with work ethic, like my daughter right now, she's got straight A's in school.
Mm,
Going to be a freshman, and made the presidential list for 8th grade, and that
wow.
makes me so proud. That she worked so hard on her education, and because that's the kid's job, and that's most important. As I've gotten older, I realized that you get out of whatever situation you are. If you're not in the best financial situation, the best family structure, education will move you out of that.
Mm,
And at the same time, education will give you different perspectives on life and you know economy and all these things that you would never get if you're still inside the same circle. So definitely, right now their work ethic is in education, and we're still working on my son. But like I said, he only 6. But my daughter,
yeah.
she's got it, and that makes me so proud. See,
Yes, sir. No, I love that, man. And I say that because I feel the same way with my children. Like I always tell people, I get on their behind at home, and a lot of times they get on my nerves doing all these different things at home. But one thing I can never say is my children have given me any problems outside the house, especially at school. They've been straight A's, straight E's, here some S's here and there. But I've never had a problem with them in school. And that's one thing I truly appreciate from my kids because, you know, that's something that I talk to them about all the time. The importance of making sure you're paying attention in school. You go to school to learn, and do that at home. What were some of the things that you did with your daughter as she was growing to help her to stay on track with education and learning and all those things?
I can boil it down to one word: presence. I
Mm,
was there. I was there with her. Um, I'll tell you the whole story. So she's my stepdaughter, and me and her mom got married when she was 5, turning 6, and then she moved to the United States at 6 years old,
wow.
and and so she knew a little bit of English, but I made sure that I was there with her, you know, through the trials and tribulations, adjusting to what it's like to be in the United States, and you know, feeling like an outsider. And I was there for her through all that. When she would have, it was easier when also in first grade. When she got problem with homework, I could still help out. Now as an eighth grade, there's some things I'd be like, I don't
Yeah,
know if I could do that. We're gonna have to use Google for this one. But
yeah.
that's the biggest thing I could say is just presence. And that's what the stereotype is with Black fathers, is that we're not there. And
Hmm.
so no one's gonna be able to say that I wasn't there for my kids. Man, I was on the PTA. I was always showing up at school, parent teacher conferences, whenever they needed something, volunteer, whatever, I was there. And I couldn't do that for my son this last year because military commitments. But I'm now that I got more free time, I'm going to be there with him too. But that's the biggest thing I could say is she always knew that she had me as the foundation behind her with anything she was going through.
Man, I love that. I love that. So important, that you say, that presence. And that goes back to involvement, just really being there. Like sometimes just being there changes everything. But when you're, having these talks with them, and when I say that, because one thing I look at is I look at the stats a lot of times, and they say things like black dad if a dad was in the home, you know, this would happen. If a dad was there and all these things. And sometimes even just being present might not do it, but like you sometimes you got to just be you got to right when I say present and involved, like you're like really involved in these children's lives, having talks with them, understanding what it is that they're going through, things that they're thinking, like you say, the helping with the homework, just letting them know that you're there. Because I think there are some dads that are in the home, but they're not involved, you know.
Yeah, and I can say so, you know, it always wasn't as easy as it was. Like when she came, I was at a different organization where I really just worked 8 hours, 9 hours, and I'm at home. So I dropped her
Yeah.
off to school and picked her up. As things went on in my military career, there were certain duty stations where I couldn't be there as much.
Mm,
Especially the last two, like the last 5 years. I mean, I was in the home, but I wasn't as present as I wanted to. But I'd already laid the foundation for her that it helped her progress still, even though when I couldn't be there as much.
mm,
Uh, and so now my son, he's in first grade this last year. I really couldn't be there at all because I was working, 13, 14 hours a day.
yeah.
And then having to drive and commute an hour and a half
Mm,
as well. Um, and so now that I retired from the military, and my job right now, I kind of work from home, sometime and then go in the office a couple days a week. I got so much, man. I'm gonna get 15 hours of back per week. That's 60
yeah.
hours a month. So that's a whole lot of family time, a whole lot of me time to go to the gym and play basketball and do things that I want to do.
Mm,
And so I'm looking forward to that too, but also being there for my son like I was for my daughter when she was young to lay
mm.
that foundation is going to be huge.
Man, I love that. For the dads out there listening, man, y'all listen. That is everything. Do what you got to do to get your time back. Um, I left the warehouse in November, and I have a job now where I work. I basically work a hybrid job. I work from home, but I work for a home visiting program. So when I'm not home doing administrative stuff on my computer, I'm out in the community going to go visit dads and, just doing community events, doing stuff like that. But I'm so much more available for my children than what I was at the warehouse, because I would be stuck in that warehouse from, 5 in the morning till most of the time 3 in the afternoon. And then I'm come home and I'm beat down and I'm worn out. And I still was there, but now what I do now, it's like I have so much more time to like my body isn't worn out anymore,
Oh yeah.
because of work. And so I'm more available to do different things. I take them to school now. I've always picked them up from school, but now I take them to school and pick them up from school every day, and even when I go out and do things for work, they're with me a lot of times because I have that flexibility. So it's like enhanced my fatherhood stuff, but I have more time with them. And now it's like now it's that real work now, like the real fatherhood work. And I'm like, dang, sometimes I could not be here and be at work and have that time, but now it's like everything is really, I've relieved my wife from taking them to school. Now she can just wake up in the morning and go straight to work. So now,
Yeah.
like, I got to get them dressed and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do in the mornings, and as soon as they get out of school, and it was a difference. I'm like, man, I'm not used to like always being here.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was an adjustment, but a good adjustment. It's giving me. I know I got to be on my P's and Q's now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Transitioning.
feel you.
So
I can't wait for the summer because I'm telling you, man, I take my son to school every day, and they go to school early. So my son's school starts at 7:30. So
ooh,
we gotta
yeah,
wake up at
yeah,
6:30, whether I gotta go to work or not. We up. And
yeah,
I'm like, man,
yes,
now
sir.
I'm looking forward to summer where I can wake up at 8 o'clock,
Yes,
drop him
sir.
off at the day camp and then log on my computer.
Yes, sir. Because see, for me, I was trying to get them in this summer program that they were in last year, and I waited too late, so we missed that deadline, and they were full. So they're actually gonna be home with me all summer. So I'm like, ooh, I'm about to
Uh,
really put myself to test. Um,
Hey, go
so,
ahead, break out that calendar and start
ooh, oh
start
my
writing events on there.
gosh, man. But the school did send, well, for my two youngest ones, the school did send home like some packets, some summer packets. So like I told them, y'all just not gonna be home just on the game and on the phone and doing all that stuff all summer. I'm gonna have y'all doing some work. There's gonna be times of the day where there's no electronics, where we're gonna take trips to the library. They love reading and stuff, so we're gonna have those trips where we go to the library. I'm gonna have them doing their work and just trying to make sure that they could do what needs to be done to get prepared for next year. And this is a position I've never been in. Like this is the first time I'm actually home, and like usually I would be kind of spooked, like, oh shoot, man, I didn't get him in the summer program. What are we gonna do? And now it's like, well, I'm home anyway, so be dad, bro. Be a
Yeah.
dad. It is what it is. So, whew, I'm starting tomorrow. We're gonna see how it goes for that first day, man. So,
Well, let me something you just said real quick. I'm gonna tell you for the people who watching and think they may have over missed it, but going to the library. Like,
yeah,
man, I know we got all the electronics in the house. We got Google, we got Alexa, but it's something about getting out of the home and going to the library and like doing the little computers there. Like for my son, he was struggling adding,
Mm,
and they had the kid's computer where he can do some games and help with add. And we did
yes.
that a few weeks, and just like that, like it helped. Like we could do the stuff at home. He got a little workbook that we do, but it's not the same because he's
Mhm,
at home, he's comfortable, he's distracted. When we go outside the home and go to the library, like I know people think, oh, I don't need to go there. Like, man,
mm,
it's so helpful to get him outside the house, change the environment.
mm,
He know like, okay, this is this is an education time. We pick out books from the library
mm.
and then we do the computer and he loves it. He really
Yeah,
does. So
man.
for everybody who's overlooking the library, you know, I'm telling you, that's a plus right there. And it's
Free
free.
resource. Free resource, and so I've made it a thing. I started doing it when my oldest daughter was super young. So I've always taken her to the library. Like that's been a thing. And so I slowed down within the last year, especially because I was so busy with working and stuff and trying to transition into this job. But man, every time we go, they're super excited. Like when I say, if I go in the house right now and say, "Hey, y'all, let's go to the library," they go, "What? Oh, let's go, let's go!" They get excited about it. But yeah, man, it's a free resource. You know, almost every city is gonna have them a public library somewhere, and in our area, we got a lot of them. So I like to take them to different ones to let them see how all the different libraries look. There's one with the playground outside of it, and it's just all
Mhm.
these different places and introducing them to it and making it like it's a cool place. I think
Yeah.
we make all the other places cool, the trampoline parks and all that, but let the library be a cool place to your kids also. It's a
Oh, yeah.
super beneficial thing.
100%. If I say the same thing. If I went upstairs right now and told my son, "Hey, we're going to the library," he was like, "All right, let's do it." And you don't even have to spend a whole lot of time there. Sometimes we spend 30 minutes, sometimes maybe an hour.
Yep.
And when he start running around, I'm like, all right, I'm checking my phone for a few minutes, and then I get back to it. Like, all right, you did that. Let's do this work on the computer real quick. Another 5, 10 minutes, and then he go play again. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's all about what you want to make of it.
Seriously, man. For dads out there, I'm telling y'all, especially my dads in this Gainesville area, man, there are too many resources for us. We have no excuse. It's a library in every side of town. We got too many of them. So make that a thing. Please, 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 please invest in the children. And I always tell guys, do it when they're young too. One of the largest reasons I started doing it was I had my daughter. Well, I was a part of this program called FRED. It was an acronym that stood for Fathers Reading Every Day. I think this was around the time my daughter was maybe 8, 9 months or something like that. And she was maybe one. And they encouraged us for an entire month to read to your child for 15 minutes every day. And I'm like, all right, cool. She's little. She ain't understanding what I'm saying. But they were like, whatever. It doesn't even matter if they listen. They can be running around, do whatever. Read to them for 15 minutes every day. And I did it for that entire month. And she grew to I feel like from that point on, she grew to love books. And then I started putting books into her toy box. And I made books a regular thing for her. So right now she's going into sixth grade next year. And man, the girl is like, reading is a thing. Like she will be, sometimes she'll go to the park and read a book, you know?
Hmm.
So that it's like a thing for her. So yeah, it's beneficial to introduce those books and stuff to them at that early age, early as possible, so that they see it as something that's normal. And what are the some of the challenges that you faced over the years? Like, what are some of the greatest challenges you faced as a dad, and how have you overcame them?
Well, I say my biggest one was I go back to the same thing where it was like I was able to be present for my daughter, but then the last like 5 years, I haven't been able to be so present because military commitments, just work was just crazy. And
Mm,
so learning how to adjust there, you really got to learn how to be strategic with your father and with your fatherhood and your time. And that's something I really learned. Like, I can't go to everything, and I would explain that and be open
mm,
to her, because my son was still a baby, so he didn't really realize. But I would be open to her, like, look, dad's working, but I can't come to this and I can't come to that. But tell me in advance, maybe I can work something out that I can go to. Um, and then the few things that I could go to at her school, I would pop up sometimes, when she has little after school things, and you could see the light in her face. She was so excited that I could be there for that one thing, because when you open with them, they understand, and she knew that I couldn't be at everything. And so when I
mm.
really tried to make an effort to be at something, she it really hit her in the heart. And so that was definitely a challenge. And then for my daughter, and then for my son, like I said, my daughter, she moved here when she was 6,
Mm.
so that was pretty easy. But my son, uh, I was there since day one,
Yeah.
and fatherhood doesn't start when they come out. I mean, while he's in the womb, taking care of the mom, getting everything ready, because she's doing all the work, making that baby, and then make sure everything's prepared for him from day one. I didn't really know a whole lot because I kind of skipped that part with my daughter. So um, that was a challenge. Like, uh, I'll tell you, as soon as he came out, you think like babies, they cry and they're loud. Well, when they first come out, they're quiet because they don't have the
Mhm.
lungs yet. I mean, they have lungs, but they can't really scream loud. So like, he would be asleep, or he would start screaming in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, and my wife's like, "You don't hear him? You don't wake up for him?" And I'm like, "I don't hear nothing. Like, I'm asleep." And then, so I try to be conscious of that. Like, some period of time when you sleeping, like, you kind of wake up for a second, go back to sleep. Where I would do that and be like, "All right, let me check on him real quick," um, just to try and help out, and then just learning how to raise a baby. Um, and there's a lot that goes into it. So that was one of the challenges. And then what way I overcame that was asking questions. I got a book, you know, first year of the baby. And I was reading the book. Oh, he's doing this. Let me go back to the book and see what's going on. And of course, I would ask my dad and my aunties and those around me as well, who had some experience. And that's what helped me overcome those first couple years, because it was a challenge. For any dad when it's the first time going through the baby phase. So that's definitely was one of them.
That's real. 1 second. Once they know you're doing something in here, oh my God, everybody want to come in. God, dog. But yeah, man, that's good stuff, and that is one of those challenges that could be tough. But like you say, being upfront with them is everything. Like if they're aware, most one thing I have learned about kids is they're pretty understanding in
Oh yeah.
most cases. In most cases, but like when you once they understand what it is that you have going on, most of the time, the kids are like, all right, I get it.
And
I
that's
get
that.
that.
That's that open communication. They kids, but they're curious. I mean, any parent would tell you, anytime you tell them anything, what's the next question?
Yep.
Why?
Yep. Yep.
And sometimes I tell you, I 95% of the time I'll answer the why. I mean, I'm human. There's sometimes I'm not answering that right now. But like, but for the
Yeah.
most part, I try to answer and so they can understand why I made the decision I made, because it's not just because in spite or whatever. There's certain situations and everything you gotta be strategic with, and just kids, they don't understand that. They just, I want this and I want it now. Why can't I have
Mm. Yeah, man. And that's listen, my kids are no different because they want to know. Even just now, they're coming in asking about getting stuff out the garage. No, not right now. Just not right now. I'm doing a podcast in here, and I don't want y'all to think you can just keep running in and out of here. No, just wait until I'm done, and that's it. And you got to be able to, communicate that to them in a way that, you know, like you say, they're kids. A lot of times they don't understand, but a lot of times they do understand. And that's one thing I always tell my kids because they are a very conscious bunch. They understand some stuff, you know, and I think a lot of our kids, period, today, because of these electronics and stuff, they got all this access to things like, and I let them know, I know you are not crazy. You know exactly what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Like I that's why I hold them to these standards that I hold them to because I'm like, I know y'all aren't crazy. Y'all know how to pick up a computer and do all types of stuff. Y'all can get on there. I'm talking about they know how to do some stuff. And I'm like, oh, if you know how to do that, I know you know how to do what I'm asking you to do. Because what I'm asking you to do is not complex at all. So you can't play the game like oh, I just don't know. No, and I see your school grades, whatever that teacher asks you to do, you know what to do. So give me that same, effort that you give at school. When your teacher asks you to do something or ask you a question, you know how to act. So do the same thing at home, and yeah, it's big, but yeah, that open communication with them is everything. Just being able to talk with them. A lot of times, how do you deal with, especially your oldest, with your daughter? How do you deal with the hard topics? Like um, just different things about life when it comes to death, um, all types of things. Like all the hard stuff. Like, how do you have those conversations?
Man, that's a great question, and I'll give a good example. So my biological mom passed away when I was 21, and so the woman that she knows as a grandmother is actually my stepmom.
Mm,
Um, and for a while we didn't address it, just because she was so young. But now that she's gotten older and she started to see pictures of like, who's this, and then we just, like I said, everything goes back to open communication, but understanding there's a certain maturity level for certain
mm,
topics like death, like that, um, because it's something that happened long time ago, and so there's no need where she's 8, like, look, blah, 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 blah. Like, nah, like when a death happens in a family, all of a sudden, you have to address those things that is. But for that one, we really waited until she was much older to try to explain it. And then when we did, she was very curious, like, oh, how was your mom, and how was, what was she like? Can I see some pictures and things like that? Um, and then when it comes to, like I said, she's 14, so when it comes to womanhood, you know, stuff like that, like I I'm not the guy that was like, just, oh, talk to your mama.
mm,
Nah, I'm there. I'm there the whole time. Like, how do you feel? Like, do you need anything? I made sure she had her things for feminine hygiene before she was ready. And I explained to her, keep this in your backpack. When it comes, make sure you go see the nurse and things like that. Um, and my wife is there too, of course, but I played an active role in all because I'm a part of her life, and that's a part of her life. And it's a scary part, becoming a woman. And then too, around this area, I'm in a pretty good neighborhood, and a lot of kids around here are starting to experiment with, prescription pills and things like that.
Mm.
And the big one is fentanyl. And we've had those conversations. Like Frank, I'm like, look, I went down the line. This is what this drug is. This drug, this one, that one, and not shy about it. And I've told her if I've tried it, I've told her what it's like. And if I haven't tried it, I know experiences from someone that's tried something. And I'm like, these are the things you really need to watch out for. And uh, and then same with alcohol. Like we've talked about that too. All those things like that. Like, and now we're starting to talk about financial literacy as well. Um, you know, when I grew up, the generations past, you just trying to get better than your predecessors, your ancestors. And so for my dad, he just wanted to do better than his mom and his dad, and he did that. And then for me, I just wanted to do better than my dad, and I did that at an early age thanks to the military. Um, but then that's why you gotta have a good woman behind you. My wife, through her, I realized there's a whole lot more out there than just being better than your dad. And that's why I explained to her, like, my job is to make sure you are better than me. And so we really talk about credit and generational wealth and why we do the things we do and why we can't just go on vacation all the time or spend all the money we want because you have to plan properly. And so having those hard conversations is easy because we set the foundation to do that. And she's very receptive.
Mm. Man, that's some great stuff. That got me thinking, man, because like with my daughter going into middle school next year, I've just been thinking like, is it time for me to have different conversations, like, the womanhood conversations and even when it comes to sex and it's like I don't want her to hear that stuff from school first, you know, like you say, drugs, the dangers of different things and alcohol, like yeah, and I just been really thinking like I feel like this summer I really need to have like we've kind of talked about different things, but we still haven't, you know, we didn't do I haven't like just sat her down like, hey, listen, let's you know anything about this? You heard about this? Or, um I think it's that time, because I
Yeah,
know for me, sixth grade was I learned a lot of stuff.
hey man, back our day when you was sixth grade, you pretty much knew everything, right?
Yes,
And you
sir.
found it
For
out
real.
at school through people, the other kids talking. And so we really tried to, they have the family education classes at school, and try to go along with the level of what they talk about there. Um, I think is when she was in sixth grade. Yeah, sixth grade is when I explained to her about social media and about I actually had her watch the show To Catch a Predator
Mm,
because that's when like these roadblocks and all these things come out where like they can talk to other people online and say that's my friend. I'm like, you don't know that.
mm,
That could be your friend's dad. You don't know. That could be your friend's uncle, or I could be some random person with a random name saying
mm.
they're 13 but they're not. And so showing her that show uh really, really, I wanted to instill in her like not a fear, but just understanding that real life happens out there and not everybody's has your best interest at heart. And
Yeah.
so being able to think for yourself, that's the one thing I want to stress for my daughter is being able to think for yourself and not rely on what people tell you.
Mm-hmm. Man, boy, I might be a project for me this summer, man. And, and I would think I would like to do it with her by herself and not her little brother and sister.
Yeah,
They're 7 and 8, so they're first
yeah,
and second grade. So there's certain things I don't be wanting to really talk with them about, but I think she's ready because they have an all pro dad chapter here in town also. And at her school throughout the year they would like once a month they would have an all pro dad event at the school and I would take her over there and And they had a lot of good stuff. Like they would have a part of the morning where you sit with your child and you just ask them questions. They would have a sheet of paper with all these different questions on it, and we would just sit there and talk. And throughout this year, we became so much more familiar with one another just from doing that. On the paper, it would have stuff like, if you could go to any place in the world, where would you go? Just simple questions like
Yeah.
that. But having that conversation with her just helped me to understand where she's at with different things, and stuff like, if you could be any cartoon character, which one would you be? Stuff like that. And I brought it to the dinner table one night. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this at the dinner table with all the kids and my wife. And we did it for a cool 30 minutes, man. We're just sitting there talking. They're asking me questions, they're asking my wife questions, I'm asking them questions, you know, um, really good conversation. And but then after about 20 minutes, you could tell, my son, he's starting to joke around, not really answer the questions. I'm like, okay, we're done. We're
Yeah.
done. Like, because he's just not to that point yet to where he takes things serious. But when I do that with my oldest daughter, man, listen, we go there with so many things, and she's so curious about life.
Hmm.
You can learn so much from them. And that's something I just always, that open communication that you brought up is just, it's everything. When they get to that age and they're comfortable with communicating with you and talking with you, I think that's something that I'm afraid to lose that. I'm afraid, you know, that one day my kids might not feel comfortable talking with me. And
Yeah.
that's so I try to keep that as much as possible, just trying to make sure that I don't lose that, because I'm
You're right.
afraid of that.
Because I feel the same way because, you know, growing up in the military at 18, you hear these stories, you see things that happen to young ladies and it's traumatizing, and I want to make sure that she knows I'm always there. She can tell me whatever it is. And right now we have that and I don't want to lose that. Like you said, when she go off to college, like, I'm thinking about that already. Like, man, oh my goodness. I be joking with her. I'm like, it's George Mason University right down the road. Yeah, you're gonna go to George Mason, and I'm gonna pick you up after school. You're gonna live in the basement. She's like, I'm not going there. Um, but nah, definitely, I don't want to lose that communication. I don't want to lose that trust. Because it's so important for a young child as they're growing up to know that their parents are always there for them.
Seriously, man. Have you ever experienced dad guilt? Talk about,
Um,
sometimes where, because I just think that's one of those things where I experienced it a lot a couple years ago. Like, well, really, when I was at the warehouse, a lot of times I would feel bad, making time for myself sometimes. Like, man, I want to go do something with me. Just I want to go to the basketball court. I want to, and I would feel bad, like, dang, man, I'm abandoning my family. Until, one day someone was like, bro, it's okay. Like, you with your kids all the time. Like, it's okay for you to go and do things for yourself. And so is that something that you've ever experienced?
yeah, I'm glad you explained it like that. I'll tell you, I have experienced it, and when my son was first born, um, like I said, it was a struggle for me to adjust to life with a baby, and I was a big video game person, and for like 2 years, yeah, actually, because when he was a baby, I could still play. But after about he turned 1 to 3, I didn't touch the game
At
at
all?
all. And and then when we came back here, and really, I all social things I kind of cut out. because I wanted to be there for my family so much because of the military, I was working so much, and then it was family. And that's pretty much all I did. And so now, um, even the last 2 years, because my son was 4 through 6, I started to make more time for myself. But yeah, I would feel guilty like when I would go to gym, I'm like, man, like I'm gonna spend an hour here, but I could be with my kids or I could be helping out my wife and things like that. And
Mm,
absolutely felt it. But now, like, I understand I got to do those things for me.
mm,
Um, like, I got to stay healthy. And what it does is it's puts me in a better mental state to be there with
mm,
them. Um, because they know like I'm there for them when they need it. So when I take time for me, it's okay. Um, but yeah, absolutely, I felt that. And even there's still times now where I'm like, "Ah, I don't want to do that because I don't want to go out here or whatever because I feel bad that I'm leaving them." But and I just say best way is to do everything. You pick and choose which ones are more important. I
mm.
pick and choose. So a good example is like last Friday, I went to play basketball um, with some of the neighborhood guys. And my knees was hurting for like the next 3 days. You know, but I did that instead of picking my son up early from after school. So but then this week my family was here all week, so he didn't go to after school where I picked him up really early. So it balances itself out.
Hmm. Man, that's some good stuff there because yeah, that's, I think a lot of guys and women, parents in general deal with that type of stuff, man. And even like for my wife and I, we started going through it really bad a couple of years ago. We were like really on the rocks, and we're still repairing that from years ago,
Oh yeah.
even today. But a lot of that came from when we had kids. We never really, like, when we first had kids, we never really did anything with one another because it's like, man, we got kids, I can't be doing this, I can't go over here. It's like we never really had time. I would say we had time, but I didn't think it was okay most of the time. I'm like, man, we got babies. Like, can't just be going out and doing this and doing that. But as they have gotten older, maybe about a year and a half ago, I started making it a thing, where I go spend time with my wife, like I would call my brother or, my mom or something like, hey, can you get the kids just for the night? We're just gonna go and do something tonight. And if it's just us going to a lounge and going to listen to some music, that's
Oh yeah.
good. We're just out with one another. We can go sit and talk and laugh, and then come back home at the end of the night, get our kids, and we're good. But like making that time, without having to feel bad about it, you know. And I now I have to tell my kids a lot of times, like when I'm going to do different things and they want to run behind me everywhere, and I'm like, no, 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 stay home. Like,
Yeah.
this is time for me. I've been with y'all all day. I will be back. Sit home, do whatever you're gonna do. You're with mommy right now. Let me have me some time.
So I gotta say real quick, I'm very fortunate with that because there's an age gap. And so my daughter, like I said, she's 14. So this past year, me and my wife have really gotten to be able to catch up.
Mhm.
Because one, I gotta shout out to her because she just finished her nurse practitioner school, which is a
Okay.
2 year struggle. And so that added to everything. Like I was finishing up my military career. She was transit trying to do that schooling. And then so as of February, she became certified nurse practitioner. Now she's got
Okay.
a new job where she's at home a lot more.
Mhm.
And that was a big thing, big dynamic. We knew 2024 was going to be a big shift for the family, and she started off with that. And then I did my retirement from the military, and so now, like, a few weeks ago, like we just went out for lunch and got the lunch
Yeah.
special, right? And
Yeah.
that's something we've never done before. But I
Yeah.
also got to be very thankful for my daughter because this last year we've slowly been able to, me and my wife been able to do things because my daughter watched my son. Um, And so we'll go out and, in the evening go to dinner or, like you said, go to a lounge and knowing that and we don't get no phone calls,
Mm,
like she's got it. I mean, so very fortunate for that as well, because where we're at, we don't have family nearby.
mm,
My dad is 4 hours away. He's the closest family. My siblings are in Jacksonville. That's 12 hours away. So, like,
jeez.
we don't have any family right here. So, here, your friends become your family. But even in the DC area, your friends are an hour away,
Mm,
right? So I'm very fortunate and thankful for my daughter that she's also mature enough to help us out with that as well.
that's real. Oh man, that's huge, man. Shout out to your wife too, man. Shout out to your wife for making big moves. Can you share any tips or advice on the importance of wellness?
Oh, that's an easy one right there. So, not to advertise anything like that, but I'm a health and wellness coach,
Yeah.
certified through the national organization. I studied health and wellness in college. That was my whole degree is healthy lifestyles coaching. Um,
Okay.
and so wellness is a huge part of my life, and that's why I don't smoke. Right, I used to even smoke hookah. I don't really do that no more. I mean, I drink in moderation.
Yeah.
Um, like I have a bar. I'm sitting right across from it right now, but I don't come down here after work. Even those long days in the military, I come down here and get a drink. Because for me, uh, it's all about perception. My kids see like my daddy drinks all day, every day. So what's going to happen with especially my son when he grows up? He's going to think I can drink every day, all day, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like we just talked about, being able to take time for yourself, those mental breaks. And so there was a time where, like, when I wasn't working out because I was so focused on family and work, I got really skinny. That affected my marriage, affected my mental health. So now when I go to gym, like everybody knows, like daddy has to go to gym. Like that helps me with mentally. And it's so important to take care of yourself. You set the foundation for what your kids are going to uh, embody as they get older. And then, um, I also explained to my daughter when she was 6 about healthy eating. What is a carb? What is a protein? What is a fat? How do they affect your body? And I'm not the health nut where there's like no sugar in my house. Nah, there's sugar in this house, and they got candy, and they got chips, and we had Chick-fil-A yesterday. Like, I eat unhealthy things too. Like I said, my mom was here, and she made mac and cheese, and with all the cheese and
Ooh.
all the butter, and we still eating it. So, like, but my kids just understand that these are sometimes foods or sometimes drinks, and, make sure they know that it affects your body in certain ways, and you want to put more of the good stuff in than the not so good stuff.
Mm, man, that's some good stuff, and that's the stuff I need to work on. I've been trying to do a little better as far as um, eating, especially eating my greens, because I love this stuff. I just don't do it enough. Like I love to get me a bag of that baby spinach or some arugula with some what's the stuff called, the ginger dressing. Man,
Oh
I
man,
would literally eat a whole entire bag by itself. Just go get it from the store and just take the whole thing out and eat just by itself. But it's like I just don't do it enough. But I've been trying to focus the last few months like on just doing that more. And because I know that I got to be doing it if I'm gonna tell my kids to do it.
oh yeah, yeah. They
So
don't see me eating the chocolate all the time, things like that. Every once in a while, like my daughter, she's so anti salad, but I mean, like
yeah.
through other foods, she gets her vegetables. And my son, like I'm blessed because he loves vegetables. He loves carrots. He loves broccoli.
Mm,
I'll put a salad on his plate every once in a while, and is it you know, shout out to this one company. So GL Hughes, they sell a zero sugar pineapple and ginger dressing. You can get it
mm,
at Walmart. Look that up. That stuff
man,
is so good. It's
I
so
might have
good.
to look him up.
It's GL Hughes. I know it's Hughes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's black owned. But yeah, it's so good and it's zero sugar. So things like that, I try to swap out as well. Just so like if you like for me, since I studied this stuff, there's sugar in every single thing, and the high
Hmm.
fructose corn syrup and processed, and that stuff really affects your mental health as you get older. More
Yeah.
susceptible to diabetes and high blood pressure. And what's plaguing the Black community? High blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. So educating my kids on those things and showing them there's healthy alternatives while they're young is definitely big as well. But that dressing,
Oh
man,
man,
that stuff
I
is so
just
good.
listen. I just found it on Google just now, so I will be on it. I'm gonna be on. They got one that's like it says orange ginger.
That might be the one. That might be the one.
Boy,
But
and
yeah,
that's up my lane right there. That's I see the pineapple one too. Pineapple ginger. Yes, sir. You put me on, man. But I got to check that out. But yeah, man, like those are some things that I know I want to work on, because like I'm 35 now, and man, I feel everything, bro. Like I just feel it, and I'm like, I got to, I've made a habit in the last few months. I go to Publix, this grocery store out here, man, and get me a gallon of water and just drink that. And the kids are always like, Daddy, why you always drink that? Just why do you always get the big water? I'm like, because that's what I want to drink all day. Just drink it on in the car. I just got it with me. And I'm like, I just want to do more of that, instead of all the other stuff. I'm just like, man, like I'm getting too old. Like I'm getting older and I don't want to be sick. Like I just don't want to be like that.
this I want to say two things real quick about that. So first of all, that's really um because I became a health coach for me, right? And so I do not want to be a burden on my kids when I'm 50, right?
Mm,
Think about when we was kids. You look at grandma at 50, like my grandma, she died at 50 of a heart attack. A
sheesh.
lot, a lot of my family on my dad's side, they all passed away around 45, 50. And when we was growing up, that was old. Like,
Mm,
and that's what happened. Now at 38, I got friends that are in their upper 50s, and they're active and going and because they take care of themselves. And I don't want to be a burden on my kids when I'm middle aged, that they have to take care of me. And
mm,
then too, you know, I want to be able to be the example that they see with that,
real
with
talk.
taking care of yourself. I mean, like I said, I'm 20 years in the military. I feel a lot of things that, like I told you, I played basketball last Friday and I felt it for 4 days. Even with understanding how to recover properly, like your body's just not the same as it was when you was 20s. I used to ride around in the back of the trunk, always had some shoes, some shorts, and a ball. Like, in
Yes,
case
sir.
the game popped off anywhere, I was ready. And then the other thing I want to talk about too for your followers is that when we talk about healthy eating, I know a lot of people think like Whole Foods and all that stuff is so expensive. There's ways that you can eat healthy um, on a budget, right? Like you said, the bag spinach for me up here, I think it's like 150, maybe $2 for the bag of spinach,
Hmm.
right? And you can take that, or what I do and if I make burgers at house, I'll get the big romaine lettuce and I'll wrap the burger in that. But that thing's so crunchy, and you can still put your toppings on there. So there's ways that you can do it, even if you're struggling financially. You don't have to go to Whole Foods or all these different high-end supermarkets and spend all your money.
Mm,
One trick I'll tell you real quick: when you go in the grocery store, just walk the outer ring of the grocery store. That's where
mm,
all the healthy, fresh food for cheap. You got a phone, look up some healthy alternative recipes, and it'll take an extra 5 minutes. But you know what? When you do it once, then you do it twice, and then you do it a couple times, and it becomes a habit, and then it becomes something that's easier to maintain.
mm,
All the processed food is in the aisles. Walk that
mm.
outside.
That's something that, man, one of my friends told me that about 2 years ago. He started, just his health journey, and he was like, man, listen, walk the outside. It's like, do not go down the aisles. So yeah.
I grew up on cereal, noodles, and hot dogs. Man, I grew up on that stuff. Now,
Yeah.
I feel some type of way when I give my kids like like Frosted Flakes or something like that. We get it every once in a while. We do because we can't live like without good things. But
Mm.
now it's in more moderation. I give them oats, oatmeal. I make it myself with the brown sugar and a little bit of syrup, things like that. Um, you know,
Oh,
the ways to go about it.
that's real, and it's got to be something you got to put the time into. That's what I found. You just got to be willing to put the time into it because of course, all the other process stuff is so quick, but you just got to be willing to put the time in to do it.
It's
And when
better to do it now than when the doctor's telling you to do it.
whoo, boy, you
Might be too
said
late
one,
then.
said that seriously, man.
Hey, either you pay an extra 26 now, or you pay that $2,000 medical bills and for the medications later on. That's the way I see it.
Sheesh, man. Listen, yeah, I need to get on that. If you could sit like you and I are doing right now and talk with the 18-year-old version of Wayne, knowing everything that you know right now, what would you say to him? If you could just give him one piece of advice.
Ah, don't worry about the superficial things.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the Gucci belts, the flashy things, what you see in videos. It's all facade. It's not real.
Mm.
Real stuff is what you're going through right now. Real life happens. And besides superficial things, find good friends, people who are good people, who have aspirations to do better in life, and keep them around you. That's what I would tell myself.
That's real. That's real. That's advice for a lot of us right now. Um, a lot of us could tell ourselves, go back. That's great advice, because when you're at that age, a lot of times I have a guy that I talk with on the regular, 21-year-old, and we had a talk a couple weeks ago. And I was just talking with him about, just life in general, just fatherhood and marriage. And a lot of the stuff I was telling him, he kept saying, I don't understand that, man. Like, I just I don't get stuff like that. And I'm like, I know you don't. And I don't expect you to get it right now, bro. You're 21 years old. You
Hmm.
might think, well, I'm 21. Well, I can go buy liquor and all this stuff. I'm like, bro, you are a jit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's just in all honesty. Bro, I'm 35 years old. I can look back at my 21-year-old self and say, I was a jit. I didn't know anything at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to
Me
right
too.
now, I'm like, right now, bro, everything I'm telling you sounds crazy, and I know that. But I know at one day you're gonna look back on these conversations that we're having and you're gonna be like, dang, that dude Anthony knew something. And I'm like, that's just I have to be honest with you, man. I'm like, these are the real things that people go through, as far as marriage and stuff. And like he could not his mind can't grasp, you
Oh, yeah.
know, being married and the things that married people go through and the stuff that you have to do to keep your marriage.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's just like, you I walk away, I do that. I'm like, nah, but when you really love somebody, and you're really in it with them, you don't just walk away, bro.
Hmm.
Like it sounds easy for you to just say, oh yeah, I'm good on that. I wouldn't stay for that. And I'm like, yeah, you say that. You say it now, but when you get into it, you will understand it, bro. I was like, I mean, I would hope that you would, but you progress in life. You go through all of these different things, you have all of these experiences, and as you get older, you start to look back. Like they always say, hindsight is 2020, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
truly is. I can look back and I can articulate it now and understand like all of these things I did, the mistakes and all of that. And he couldn't understand it.
Man, I tell you, at 25, 24, 24, bought a brand new BMW. because that's what you see. I was thinking about getting a Range Rover, the Ironman, Audi. I mean, I'm a single guy in the military, and my bills was paid. I had a little extra money. Oh man, I could do that.
Yeah.
I bought that car, man. Ain't no hose come out the woodwork. Like ain't like you see on TV, man. It ain't like that. And then going in the club and popping bottles, like, but ain't no all that stuff is superficial. And then I bought the BMW not for me, a little bit for me, but for other people to see that I'm
Mm.
not broke, that I made it. But man, I'm happier now with my Honda that's paid off than I
Yeah.
was with my BMW, right?
Straight up.
And then yeah, man. And so those things like that, like I wish I would have go back and not bought that and bought something, maybe even a used BMW, right? Instead of a brand new one with 3 miles on it, so I could take a picture and be like, yeah, 3 miles.
Yeah.
But that didn't last. That car I ended up trading in for another one, which is a mistake, another mistake. I was paying like $1,000 a month for a car payment, and I did that for like 3 years, and then when my son was born, my mindset shifted. Man, I don't want this no more. I went
Mm.
and got a Honda, paid that joker off in like 5 years. I've been without a car payment for 3 years, and I'm loving it.
Man. Growth.
Oh yeah,
Growth. 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 If we can't say anything else to the Dad Can We Talk community today, growth. Got to continue to grow. You grow as a man, you grow as a husband, you grow as a father. You got to continue to grow. That's the biggest thing, because we all make mistakes. That's humans. We're humans. We all gonna make mistakes, and you learn as you go a lot of times, and that's why I think it's important for podcasts and stuff like this, to have people that talk about these things, and hopefully others will learn from our mistakes and
oh
don't
yeah,
go down those roads.
100%.
You know, some people gonna still do it, which is okay. Sometimes you got to have your own experiences, but um, it's always best a lot of times to learn from someone else's mistakes. And that's why I like to talk about those types of things, and it's always interesting to hear what people would say to their younger selves, and it gives you that time to reflect and understand, where you made mistakes at.
Hmm.
Once you've been down those roads and you understand, you more likely than not to not go down that road again. Once you know what's down the road, it's like there's nothing down that road that I want.
Oh yeah.
You can go down there, but I'm not. So
They used to say when I was younger, don't nothing good happen after midnight. Sure enough, I was out there after midnight, and luckily it didn't happen to me. But I've
yeah,
seen a lot of people get caught up after midnight.
you better believe it all the time. Seriously. Man, listen, bro. I truly appreciated this, man. I needed this talk. I got a lot out of this. I learned a lot, and like this right here has been a long time coming. I know we talked about this a minute ago.
Oh yeah,
The timing was right this time. And the Most High allowed this to happen. We're here. Um, And I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you giving me your time and sharing the things you shared with me, because I'm just a dad trying to learn. I'm just trying to get better day by day, man. And you gave me a lot of things to think about, especially on health and wellness, man. Those are things that I really want to work toward. And like I say, man, I appreciate you, bro.
yeah, man. Hey, same here. I told you when I was scrolling on IG and your podcast came up, I said, man, I gotta reach out to this brother right here because I always take it on myself. For one, wherever I'm at, in my mind, I tell myself I may be the only black person they ever see. And
Mm,
so I need to set the example. And now it's like I may be the only black father they see because on what they hear and see on TV,
mm.
we don't exist. And so I'll
Yep.
make sure that they know that we exist. And you doing that every day, man. So I appreciate that.
Seriously, appreciate it, man. But tell the people where they can find, your health and wellness stuff, the podcast, all that.
Yeah, so the biggest thing right now is the Men's Talk Show. You can find us on TikTok and on YouTube. We're on IG as well. Men's Talk Show. Look us up. We do bi-weekly shows, and then we do clips throughout the in between time. We love to interact with you guys. And if anybody ever want to come on and just talk or just listen, feel free. And then me personally, I'm Meet the Real Wayne on IG. That's where I'm at. That's my personal one. And love to connect with anybody. And if you want any type of advice, anything like that, as far as health and wellness, I'm not charging, man. I'm giving out this stuff free, because we got to help each other.
Mm, that's real. That's real, man. So yeah, man, y'all go and support, man. Please support my people, man. That's big, it's a huge thing, to be able to have someone support things that you have going on. So y'all go and find Men's Talk Show. They're super active on TikTok. Love the clips. Find them on IG. You say y'all on YouTube, right?
Yeah, so the full episodes are on YouTube.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to find us on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it might be easier to go to IG or TikTok and then click on the link to get to
Yeah.
YouTube. But yeah, we're there. That's where we got the full episodes there as well. Like I said, we got the clips on IG and TikTok.
For sure, for sure. Yes, sir, man. But yeah, y'all go find my man at Meet the Real Wayne on IG. Y'all go follow him. And I think that's it, man. Like I say, y'all know where to find all these episodes of Dad Can We Talk. Go to the website, www.dadcanwetalk.com. You will find this episode, all other episodes streaming right there on the site. You can listen to just the audio on the site, or you can go to the videos from the site. If you don't feel like going to YouTube or anything, just go to the website and you will find everything you need to find right there. Please, if y'all can help me out in this way, just go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. That's the greatest way to help me out. But man, Wayne, bro, it was definitely great talking with you, man. Hopefully one day, man, I can get back up that way, man, with the fam or something, man, and we just hang one day, bro.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure, man. So, if God make way for that, we gonna do that one day. Come up to that area. My wife is actually she used to live in Virginia. So one of her cousins is in the Navy out in Virginia Beach right now. So yeah, so maybe one day we'll go out and visit her, man. If we ever come out that way, I'll let you know.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
same, if we ever get down to Florida, we talked about them plane tickets. They're expensive for a whole family, but pack everybody in the car. We make it down that way. We'll definitely let you know.
Yes, sir. My wife has some family in Jacksonville also. So like her mom and everybody live out there. So yeah, if y'all ever come down to Jacksonville, let us know. Yes, that's an hour and a half drive for us. We'll drive that way and come hang, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Well, all right, man. I'm gonna let you get up out of here. I'm gonna go get ready for this visit I got later on and see what these kids outside making the rockets about. But yeah, man, I appreciate you, Wayne.
Yep.
Yes, sir. I'll holler at you. It's Dad Can We Talk, episode 130, and we out of here.
Me and you side by side, we gon' take the ride. Anybody say they perfect, believe it, they lie. I'm involve me in your